Well, well, well. Good morning, Vietnam. It's been quite a while since I've done a live stream. And let me get this chat pop-up window back up again. Amazing Adventures, good morning. Lumad, good morning from the Philippines. Mr. Theory, good morning. I'm sorry I have to look off to the left, but the monitor's here, camera's here, microphone is here. If somebody could just let me know if you can hear the audio real well, if it's coming through. That crazy little hair sticking out there. Good morning, Joseph. Is the audio working? If somebody could just type in the chat if the audio is working, just to let me know. Digital Analog Ham, hello from the UK. Speaking of UK, I'm going to touch on that in just a little bit. Good audio. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it. I'm just using my Blue Yeti microphone for this live stream, and I'm actually live streaming through OBS right now. And a big shout out to Kevin, Basic Filmmaker, for kind of helping me, walking me through this whole process of how to do OBS tied into YouTube to do some live streaming. Today I just wanted to kind of a very casual sit back, let's talk about some camera gear and some camera news and some tech stuff. If you have questions, put it in the chat and I'll periodically kind of take a look through there and try to get to all of your questions. Let's see. You're good, boss. I appreciate it. Let's see. I used my GoPro Hero 7 as a dash cam and it turns off when it gets hot. No one can tell you that. Well, on the GoPro Hero 7, just like any real action camera, if you're recording in 4K, that will develop a lot of heat for that chipset. And GoPros have a built-in overheat protection. So if it does overheat, it will turn itself off. So kind of keep that in mind. Personally, for me, to use a GoPro Hero, and I just happen to have a whole desk full of cameras, so if you guys want to talk about it, but to use the GoPro Hero 7, you can tell I'm using my Canon M50. So it's got great face auto focus, face detect, but the Sony ZV-1, I'm telling you, I love this little camera. You put this thing on product showcase and whatever's right in front of the lens, boom, instantly snaps right into view. GoPro Hero 7, I wouldn't use it as a dash cam just for me because, yes, the image quality is great out of a GoPro Hero 7 as a dash camera, but that thing would overheat and having the sun beating on it. Let's see. Let me take a quick look in the chat. Silverbeard, good morning. What can is that? What can is that? I don't know. What can? I'm an OBS noob too. You know, I tell you, speaking of OBS, I'm just going to get a little bit off track. OBS is a great broadcasting platform. It's got a lot of features. Now, Kevin at Basic Filmmaker University, and if you look him up online on YouTube, it's Kevin, the Basic Filmmaker. Great channel. And if you go to his university, I'll throw a link in here just so you guys can check it out for yourself. Because he has got a ton of filmmaking courses, and guess what else he has? He has an OBS training course. And that is his university right there. So if you go to check that out, he's got a ton of free courses. He's got a couple of paid courses too, but that's up to you if you want to check it out. But a ton of great courses so that you could check out and see exactly how to do some of this stuff. And he's the one that kind of helped me through. But what is the guy? Interactive DNA. That's another YouTube channel. This guy is brilliant when it comes to software programming and stuff. And he's given Kevin a plugin for OBS that makes OBS fantastic. It makes it so simple and so intuitive. But that's in his course, so you got to check that out. Let's see. Oh, what camera am I using? I'm sorry, what cam? This is the Canon M50. I'm shooting 1080p 30 frames per second right now. I'm just using the Canon Beta utility. So it's a micro USB going to USB into my computer. Let's see, talking about dash cameras, I guess most are good in low light. Are any of those good for action cameras for indoor use? You know, I've never tested a dash camera for indoor use. So that may be something I have to jot down and try to do for the future just to see. Because there are some dash cameras that do have great low light capability. You know, these action cameras, if a dash camera can do decent low light, why can't these action cameras? But then again, these action cameras, they're designed for being out in the sun and bright light. Let's see. Recently bought a Caso Brave 7 LE. My first camera and love it. Thank you. I made a decision instead of GoPro. You know, the Akaso brand is a good brand. They started off, I did a video a couple of days ago, but they started off with, there was a company called MG Cool. They came out with Explorer Pro 1, Explorer Pro 2. Then they came out with the Explorer Pro 3, and then they went out of business. And Akaso, I'm sure that all these companies, they use one company to actually build these cameras. And then they get maybe, I don't know, a contract for X amount of these cameras. And once that contract's up, they can sell these and just rebrand them to different camera companies. And so Akaso, they came a long way. You make up a good point here, and I want to talk about the Akaso Brave 7 LE for a second, because we've got the 7 LE, and it's kind of a Osmo Action knockoff. And then we got the Campark V40, which is identical to the Akaso Brave 7 LE. The audio is really good on the Campark, although it doesn't feature a lot of the resolutions that the Akaso does. But here's the big difference. The Campark battery, for some reason, and they're identical batteries. I did testing with the Campark versus the Akaso and swapping out batteries to see what is the deal with this. This thing will only run about 35 minutes in 4K, 30 frames per second. And if you leave this, let's say you charge it up right now, and you just leave it sitting, and by the way, there's no Wi-Fi setting to turn on or off or Bluetooth, and if you let it sit, the next day when you go grab it, the battery will be dead. The Akaso, you can charge it and leave it sitting for a week, grab the camera, and it works just fine. The battery's still full. It hasn't used up any battery. Kind of an odd little quirk here, so it's got to be a firmware issue with the Campark. I do like the Akaso Brave 7 LE. I like the fact that it's got more resolutions that you can choose from, and the audio is just really bad. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I don't know what's been going on with Akaso with their microphones. I don't know if it's the microphone that's used. Maybe they order it from the manufacturer and say, hey, I want to cheap out on the microphone. Put this 2-cent microphone in versus a 10-cent microphone. And by the way, I'm just coming up with figures out of the top of my head here. But maybe it's firmware. Maybe one of the firmware guys needs to really get on board and fix the audio, because it started with the Akaso V50X. Its microphone was horrible. And then we had the Akaso Brave 6 Plus microphone, also very, very, very low in volume. But at least the Akaso Brave 6 Plus, the audio and video stayed in sync. The Akaso V50X, audio and video go out of sync after a couple of minutes. The Brave 7 LE, it stays in sync, audio and video, but it also has this poor audio. But for a budget, it's not too bad. Let's take a look through the comments here. Are we going to test out the GoPro Hero 9 Black tomorrow? You know, you really need to test it out. I've ran into a couple of issues, and I'll talk about that here too this morning. The issues that I ran into, one of the issues that may have been solved by a very cool gentleman named Ian. He's from England. And while I'm talking about Ian, I want to throw up a link to his channel. And because I like this guy. He's super, super nice. Maybe one day when all this COVID stuff goes away, we can actually travel again. Let's see. We'll minimize that. So that's a link to Ian's channel. He does a lot of microphone reviews. And he's been really looking at the GoPro Hero 9 and testing it out. And him and I have been chatting back and forth regarding its color profile. And the GoPro Hero 9, you know, it's I'll get back to the GoPro Hero 9 in just a minute, because I've got a mindset of what I want to do with the GoPro Hero 9 and talk about some of the issues with it. Brave 6 Plus, something decided to get a cheap, decent air. You know, the Brave 6 Plus, besides the audio, the only other thing I can bang it on is I just don't like the coloring of the camera. I don't like that blue. But, you know, take out a magic marker, and I guess it doesn't really matter. Sean KC, message retracted. You don't have to retract your message. You can post what you want. Let's see. I watched a video from Gemini Connect saying that there's issues with the GoPro Hero 9. There are, and we'll talk about that. Can I rig an external microphone to the Brave 7 LE? No, you cannot. They stopped doing external microphone support with the Brave 6 Plus. It doesn't support external microphones. The Brave 7 LE does not support external microphones. Neither does the Campark V40. Excuse me, allergies are killing me this morning. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the chipset is not capable. I may be wrong. I'm not an engineer. I just grab these action cameras, play with them, try to review them to see if they're any good, to let you know if it's worth it or not. Worth it or not? Okay. Maybe straying off your main purpose for this channel, but what editing software would you recommend for a beginner? Joseph Isaac, what computer are you running? Are you running a Windows or are you running a Mac? Because if you're running Windows, Windows comes with Windows Movie Maker. And it is a very basic easy software to use to kind of get your taste buds a little bit wet regarding video editing. DaVinci Resolve is free. Somebody just posted up about David Harry. David Harry, and I actually have a link to David's channel. And there's a reason why I've got a link ready from David's channel, because I was going to talk about David too. So Digital Analog Ham, I appreciate you bringing that up. There is a link right there to David Harry's channel. David Harry has done more with GoPros regarding taking them apart. He's the one that discovered that on the GoPro Hero 8, the media mod, that the microphones are not directional. They are not mini shotgun microphones. That front capsule and that rear capsule that looks like microphone capsules are not. There's nothing there. That center portion, he took it apart and saw two little square microphone inputs, one for front, one for rear, and it's not a directional microphone. I know he just got the media mod for the GoPro Hero 9, so I'm kind of curious to see, for the sake of science, if he's going to butcher that one up, cut it up, and tell us what's inside, and see if GoPro's done the right thing and actually made it a directional microphone like they claim, a little shotgun microphone. Let's see. David and work it. Mr. Theory. I tell you, David Harry's great. David Harry is one of those no BS kind of guys. He just tells you like it is. He's very knowledgeable. And sometimes you talk to people or you see people online and they come across as a little bit cocky, and you may go, they're a little cocky. That's not the fact with David. It's okay to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's okay to be confident because you know what you're talking about. And sometimes that comes across as a little bit cocky. I like David. I appreciate David. He's a stand-up guy in my book. I like Ian. Ian's a nice chap. He's this close to 1,000 subscribers. And if you guys, I'm not saying, you have to go, but if you just go check out his channel, you'll see he's a nice chap, and consider subscribing to his channel because he's definitely worth it. He's a really good guy. Let's see. I have a Sony XRV 100 VA. Is it worth buying? I don't have the Sony XR. I think you're talking about the RX. Maybe I'm wrong. But the 100, I don't have the 100. I'm a Sony guy when it comes to camcorders. I've used a lot of Sony camcorders for documentaries that I've shot over the last, what is it? I've been shooting documentaries for 12 years now. So that's the cameras that I've always used. Chiz Check Review. Hey, Chiz. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Nice guy. Nice guy. Very. You need to go check out his reviews, his review channel. Very, very nice guy. I'm subscribed to him. I don't ever comment on other review channels, and there's a reason why, because I don't want another review channel like Chiztech or whoever to think that I'm only commenting to spam their channel to get people to look at my comment and to come to my channel. So that's the only reason that I don't comment on other review channels. I do look at their stuff. I give them a thumbs up. I like their stuff. It's very informative. Chiz, he goes, how's it going, mate? It's going really good. It's hot, still hot here in Texas. It's going to be 98 degrees today, Fahrenheit. So it's going to be hot. Just when I thought that fall was really going to make an impact, it's kicked me right in the butt. But Chiztech Review, I want to go back to him. This guy goes through so much product. It is unreal. And every once in a while, he'll do those, like, buys of the month where he's got, like, 20 different items that he shows you. So anyway, go check out his channel, too. Let's see. How can you tell that your CD card is not a fake? Talking about your SD card. I always try to I always try to buy from a reputable source. Amazon is where I buy all my SD cards from, and I'm strictly a SanDisk user. Hang on, I gotta get some more coffee going in me. I'm strictly a SanDisk user. That's just for me. Other people like all these other brands, and that's fine. SanDisk, just for me, has been. I have never. Come on. That's me knocking on wood. I have never had a SanDisk SD card fail me yet. So kind of keep that in mind. So, but as far as checking, I know that there's a free software that you can go online, just Google SD card speed test, and you can stick your SD card into your computer. And it's funny because a lot of computers nowadays, they don't have, like my rig right now, I call this the Beast. It's got a AMD 3900X CPU. I've got a Radeon AMD 5700 XT 8 gigabyte graphics card, 64 gigs of memory, and it doesn't have an SD card reader slot. So I have to use one of these little guys right here. It's a little USB. Now it's got tons of USB ports on it, USB 3s, but I've got to use this. But anyway, stick your SD card into your computer somehow, whether it's this or directly into the computer, and then run a speed test on that SD card. And it'll tell you write speed and read speed. So it'll let you know if it's at least keeping up to what it claims to be. Let's see, back to chat. Let's see, I missed a couple. I'm sorry. Let's see, digital analog, you've been using the GoPro Hero 8 as a PC camera. I know that they came out with that new software, so that's good. So there's nothing wrong with being able to use it as a PC cam. Because I mean, with COVID, all of us are at home and we're all having to do, whether it's Skype or whatever the software that you're using, but to be able to communicate. And I know webcams, they went like completely out of business or out of stock on all their web cameras, because I was trying to find the Cam Link, because I was figuring, well, hey, I'm going to have to do some stuff live streaming. Couldn't find a Cam Link to save my life that was under $450. It's a $99 little capture card. And they took it from $99 and they price gouged it up to $400 and something. I got this from a good friend of mine, Pingo. So I can actually, it's a 4K capture card. And then with COVID and everything that's going on, all these camera manufacturers like Canon and Sony, they've all come out with these web utilities to where you can live stream with your camera, which is great. So that kind of helped offset where the webcams weren't available, but it also smart move because good marketing ploy. Let's see. Chiz made me buy 4DS. I imagine Chiz made a lot of people buy stuff. He's a good guy. Hello, dear. I was upload copyright claim videos, clips to get more subscriber after I deleted the video, monetized, but rejected. I have no idea. You uploaded copyright claim video clips to get more subscribers. After I was deleted, the videos applied. You shouldn't upload copyrighted material. And maybe that's why YouTube. I don't know. Reach out to YouTube. If you get onto Twitter and go to Team YouTube or at them on Twitter, they'll answer your question or direct you to what you need to do regarding monetization. Let's see. Love your work, by the way. Thank you very much, Chiz. I didn't know you watched. Thumb up. I appreciate that. Scotty. Hello, Scotty, from our kiddos wanting to start off on YouTube. What's your ingress, whatever it's called, copy importing videos and catalog them. No video editing experience here. If you're just wanting to upload to YouTube, just to have a backup file, basically use a YouTube channel just for all of your memories. You don't have to have any editing software. You can take the clips, take your SD card, put it in your computer, and unfortunately, if you've got 12 clips, you're going to have to upload 12 different videos if you don't have any editing software to be able to put those clips together. But if you're using, like I said, if you've got a Windows computer and you're using Windows Movie Maker, you can actually do that with Movie Maker, put those clips together, export it, which all an export means is that you're exporting out of the video editing software onto whatever destination you want onto your computer. Safe side, always put it on your desktop. That way you can see where it went. And then just upload it up to YouTube. It's okay. Oh, well, Sean, you're in Houston. Oh, you guys just... did you guys get any of the storm that came through? That hurricane? Do you do review on drones? Yes, I have done review on drones before. I've still got a couple of drones. I'm down to DJI Spark and the DJI Mavic Mini. My Mavic Pro's gone. My Phantom 3 Standard's gone. And the only reason is just, I've got a family. I've got a career. I've got all these things that I've got to do. And it's just, I was thinking it was a shame. I got the Mavic Pro and I just wasn't flying it anymore. And a friend of mine, Jeff Sibelius, who's also on YouTube, I can't remember how to spell Sibelius, but if you start typing it out, it'll pop up his channel. He's 100% strictly drones. This guy is great. I've been thinking about the Mavic Air 2. But then again, I kind of just go back on what I just said, and I don't fly them enough recreationally to warrant. When I've got a gig, then I'll fly one, and that's where the Mavic Pro came in because of its 4K. Now the 2.7K is decent enough. That's why I'm kind of going Mavic Air 2. I'm still chewing on that. We'll see what Amazon Prime Days has in store. That's coming up on the 13th and 14th, by the way. Keep that in mind. Mark it down because they're going to, from what I hear, from my contact at Amazon, they told me that there's going to be some phenomenal stuff this year because they weren't able to do the Amazon Prime Days earlier in the year like they wanted to because of COVID. Excuse me. Because of COVID. So they've pushed it now into October. And they said it's going to be a huge sale. So kind of keep that in mind. Jason Sacco, hi. I always love learning from your channel. Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it. I try to be honest and fair. I mean, there's a lot of people that, say that I don't do enough of the tech stuff where I break down and open up a camera and tell you exactly what chipset and what resistor and what capacitor's here. I'm not Gerald Undone. I mean, and I love Gerald Undone. He takes the time to give you a 20-minute video of all the possible specs. I just want to just take a camera, use it. Is it reliable? Does it take good video? Is the audio good? How's the stabilization? How's the different resolutions on whatever that these cameras are? In real world, use it. And then I try to do stabilization. I can't make everybody happy. I do a stabilization test on a bicycle. And then they say, oh, yeah, well, that's nice that you're on a bicycle, but you didn't go jumping off a cliff with a bicycle, which would have really showed stabilization. I'm 56 years old. I'm not going out to ride a bicycle and jump off of a cliff with it. Let's see here. Make money online. Hello, dear. I was uploading. Okay. I already got that one. Is the Akaso Brave 7 LE a good action camera for somebody starting out on YouTube channel? I say yes and no. And you're probably wondering why I'm saying yes and no. If you have a computer that can edit 4K footage, yes, the Akaso Brave 7 LE is a good camera to start off with YouTube with. Because its 1080p is not good. So if you want a real 1080p camera and you want to get the best image possible, I would probably revert you back to the GoPro Hero 5, even though its image stabilization in 1080p is not what it is today in 2020. But I would probably go to the Hero 5 because it has an umbrella chipset. It's very intuitive. My Hero 5, this is my second one. My first one I got was right after they came out with it. I took it out in the pool to test its waterproofness. And I think I was only like 2 or 3 feet down in the water, just holding it with my hand, and it failed. It had a water failure. And GoPro told me to basically go stick my head in the sand because it was user error. And it's like, well, I'm not, it's not like I've never used an action camera before. I'm very cautious, especially with the battery door and the side door. I wanted to make sure, is it sealed? Is it ready to go in the water? Because at that point, I'd never taken an action camera in the water without a waterproof case. But that's probably the camera that I would suggest, GoPro Hero 5 or the 7LE if you're going to shoot 4K and you have a computer that's capable of it. Let's see. Do a review on David Harry is awesome. I love David Harry. I'm looking forward to him tearing that GoPro 9 Media Mod apart. I want to see what the microphones are on that one. What's your recommendation? What's your recommended gimbal? If it's for an action camera on a budget, I say the iSteady Pro 2 or 3. I mean, it's $89. It's a decent gimbal, and it helps out tremendously, especially if you have, hypothetically, you had a GoPro Hero 5. Its image stabilization is not the best in the world at 1080, but you tie this up with the iSteady Pro 3 gimbal, and guess what? All of a sudden, if you keep the EIS on, you get even smoother footage. So that's what I would recommend regarding gimbal. If you want a top-of-the-line gimbal, and I don't think Evo makes these anymore, but it was the Evo GP Pro. Damn, that gimbal was, you didn't have to calibrate it. You didn't have to do anything. No adjustments and phone app. And by the way, I don't do a lot of phone apps. And I know that there's people that have complained, why don't you show the app for the Brave 7LE? Why don't you show the app for the Akaso? I don't like third-party apps. Not that I'm worried about privacy, but I'm worried about privacy. I don't trust a lot of these apps, so that's why. But anyway, the Evo GP Pro gimbal. Great gimbal. I don't think they make them anymore, but you could probably find them on eBay. And if you do, that's a good gimbal. Beta firmware works brilliant. If you're talking about the Canon EOS beta firmware, yes, easy. My only limitation is going to be battery life, so I'm kind of watching the clock here because I'm going to try to shut this stream off around an hour. I need to get a dummy battery for the Canon M50, and that way I could stream for much longer. What computer or laptop are you using to edit 4K video? I use this behemoth here. I mentioned it earlier, but it's a AMD 3900X CPU, a AMD Radeon 5700 XT 8GB GPU, 64 gigs of memory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cooling fans, water cooler. My laptop is of course I'm going to say my laptop, and I can't remember. It's a Republic of Gamers laptop. It has a i9 in it, and I can't remember the graphics card. But the graphics card is only a 6 gig graphics card, but that one works fine. The nice thing about 4K footage, before I go on to this big rant, if you're using Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the software that I use to edit with, there's a thing called proxies. So you can ingest 4K footage, set them to proxy where you can set the resolution at 720. Now, when you're editing or scrubbing through your timeline, you're dealing with a 720 resolution footage, which is very easy to move around. You can edit it, and then when you render it out, you will render back out at 4K. So that's something to keep in mind. Adobe Premiere Pro, it is expensive. I mean, the first documentary that I shot was on a CD copy of Adobe Premiere. I'm going to have to dig through my old CD collection. But it was, back then you could actually just buy the software one time. It was yours, and then you could edit with it. Now it's subscription based. It's expensive, $500-600 a year, but when you think you break it down per month, I mean, it's one dinner out per month, and you've got the entire suite. Let's see, Sean, just a little wind, rain, no major damage. Well, that's good to hear, Sean. I'll actually be down in the Houston area in Hallettsville probably in end of November. I'm going to go down there and shoot a video project. I appreciate the real world, real life reviews. If I butcher up your name, I'm really sorry. Fee Janelle? I appreciate I just try to be honest. I mean, a lot of people, they just, they don't like bluntness, and that's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't expect to be. But if I've made a mistake, and let me revert to the Insta360 1R. Great camera. I'm still learning the 360 module, and it's got this cool little silicone cap here that covers up both lenses. I'm still learning how to edit 360 video. I think 360 has a good niche for me in what I do on the side for documentary stuff. But I made a mistake about the Insta360 1R when I did the GoPro Hero 9 versus all of them. When I meant all of them, it was like all the top action cameras of this time. And the video looked horrible on the Insta360 one. The trees were just horrible. So, and if it's user error, I tried to replicate it by taking the modules apart, in and out, opening up the app. It obviously was something that I did. I touched something and made it go to vivid. And vivid may be great for up close, but it sucks for distant objects. And Insta361 didn't reach out to me and tell me, hey man, would you check your camera and redo that video? I found the problem myself, and I was like, I have to be respectful to all my viewers that watch this channel. And because a lot of people have commented about, wow, the Insta360 1R looked horrible in 4K. And it did, and I was shocked. And now that I found out that it was my fault, I had to do something to let you guys, you the public that are watching, know that it was user error. It was my fault. It was not the camera. It was the setting. Somehow, I don't know how I did it, but I changed the setting in it. Is there a way to edit 4K footage from GoPro Hero 9 Black on the iMovie on the iPhone 11 Pro Max? Amazing Adventures, I do not know. I do have the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I have not tried to edit video footage on it. I use it for family pictures and for the drone apps whenever I'm out catching aerial footage. So that I don't know. Maybe somebody else can chime in and answer that for you. Is it still worth the Sony FDRX 3000 2020? Should I go for the Osmo Action? As a Sony user, and it's funny because this is from... Oh, I'm not even... Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce your name. Pankej? If I messed up, I'm sorry. I just did a video the other day. So if you take a look through my previous videos, but it was the... What did I compare it to? Yeah, the Hero 9 versus the FDRX 3000, because it was a viewer request. And the Sony was my number one camera, considering that it was 4 years old. 4 years ago, the Sony FDRX 3000 came out, and I liked the color profile that came out of it. 100 megabits per second. There was no other action camera around touching that. In 2020, if it were me, and you said, all right, Andre, here's my money. Pick me out an action camera between these two, the Sony FDRX 3000 or the Osmo Action, I would say get the Osmo Action. The Sony FDRX 3000 is still $349. They have not come down in price at all for a 4-year-old camera. So I would go for the Osmo Action. You can have, I've got a sneaking suspicion it's going to be under $200 during Amazon Prime days. But you can get that for just over $200, $214, $220 for the Osmo Action, which had a front-facing screen, which I'm going to get back to on this Hero 9. And everybody complained about the Osmo Action. The front screen is so laggy when you move your hands. It's like a second behind. Nobody's complaining about about the GoPro Hero 9. Its front screen is super laggy. Nobody's complaining about it. And then DJI had to go out and go fix that lag issue on the front screen because so many people complained about it. And the front screen shouldn't be for real-time viewing. It should just be for framing. So you're framing yourself, just like a flip-out screen on this M50. I'm just looking at it for framing. So I would choose the Osmo Action. By the way, I've had a couple of cups of coffee this morning, so if you see me rambling on and kind of going from subject to subject, that's the reason why. But I do want to talk about the GoPro Hero 9. I'm going to finish up a couple of these questions and answer them and then get to the GoPro Hero 9 and what my findings have been so far with this action camera. Do you have an opinion budget-friendly Mavic Mini clones? I do not. I always see those ads pop up on Facebook, and it looks like the Mavic Pro or it looks like the Mavic Mini, but it's only $59. And I've heard a ton of horror stories where you buy it, they send you a drone that's this big. The only way to get a refund is you have to send it back to China, which will cost you more, and you have to send it insured and signatured, and it'll cost you more to ship it back. So no, I have not tried any of those. I try to stay away, and here I am I'm a channel that does camera reviews on majority of the stuff has been on budget action cameras compared to the GoPro. And here I am saying that no, I wouldn't do a clone of the Mavic Mini. It's just I'd hate to spend money on a drone and it fly away, or the image quality sucks. And for me, DJI has been a real winner for image quality, gimbal stabilization, and all that with their drones, especially GPS. 2 thumbs up there. GoPro Hero 8. I must have missed something there. Rob, thanks for the honesty. I have a computer's cable for, if not Walmart, a 15-inch laptop right now, but I'm using my Galaxy phone S10 and S20 and editing it. With the video gurus on my phone. I've never used a phone to edit videos, with one caveat. When it comes to the Insta360 1R, it has the Insta360 One app, and you have to use that if you want to use those cool little features where you get the little trailing man, you do the stop motion stuff. That's the only reason why I would use an app with the Insta360. But I've never tried to edit a video on a phone per se, something that I would put up to YouTube. Okay. Filmora 9 has proxies as well, but I'm willing to bet my computer is about to go flying out the window because it makes it difficult. And I have an i7. Okay, an i7. I've got another computer just out of frame back here that has an i7 in it, and it does good with 4K. This is for Feed Janelle. I would probably say graphics card, memory. Graphics card and memory are probably the 2 most important things. A lot of people, they put all their stuff into, got to have the latest and greatest CPU. I got to get the Threadripper. Get a good GPU and get memory, because 4K and editing software require a lot of memory, because especially if you start doing color grading, everything you do to that clip in editing causes more work on your computer. So, let's see, not quite sure the graphics card though. Yep, you said it perfect. Oh, I guess I pronounced your name perfect. Yay! I'm horrible at names. Horrible. And if I butcher it up, I'm really sorry. Feed Janelle, use the Osmo Action for motovlogging on my helmet. Freaking love it. Yeah, the Osmo Action helmet mounts. I mean, great. Helmich Dabro. Helmich? Almost sounds German. Worth it or not, can you make a video comparing the Firefly 8SE to Firefly X and GoPro Hero 9? I know it's a big difference, but why not? It's still, in your opinion, any good today? If you're talking about the Firefly 8SE, yes, it is still a very good camera today. The Firefly X, I don't have. My rep that was with Firefly is no longer there, or not in that department anymore, marketing department. And for some reason, Firefly didn't want to send me the Firefly X, so I've never reviewed the Firefly X. I would hate to do a comparison video between the Firefly 8SE and the GoPro Hero 9, because now we're really talking apples and oranges regarding video quality. Even at 1080, the GoPro Hero 9, its stabilization is just stellar. Let's see. May start using it for vlogging at some point as well. I've got feed Janelle. If you take a look through my playlist, I've got a video on the Osmo Action using the Sonova audio adapter and the Movo VRX10 mini shotgun microphone. That's like $30. And I think the Sonova audio adapter is $19 now. And then Ulanzi, in that video, there is a handheld case for the Osmo Action and a tripod handle. And I think it extends out a little bit too. But the neat thing about this little case for the Osmo Action is it's got a cold shoe up on top where you can mount the Movo microphone onto it. And then there's an opening on the side where it's no problem to stick the Sonova audio adapter in. And that is a great little vlogging setup. I like the scuba dive, and I like the idea of the Insta 1-inch, but I found it difficult to find a 1-inch without having to buy a separate module after buying the 4K, excuse me, sipping on coffee there, the 4K and 360 module. The Insta360 one, the 1-inch, you can buy it separately. Keep in mind, it's $299, so $300 just for the 1-inch mod to be able to have better low light performance. And I was kind of shocked at how much better that it really was. But then again, it's a 1-inch sensor versus the sensor in the GoPro Hero 9. But I did a low light comparison at the park next door, and it was pretty dramatic. Great image quality at low light and very little noise compared to the GoPro Hero 9. It's worth it if you're going to shoot 5.3K and if you want better low light performance. For me, I would say it's not worth it just to have 5.3K and a little bit better low light performance. It depends on your needs. If you're shooting a lot of low light stuff, then it's going to be important to you. But $300 is a lot of money for just that 1-inch mod. Scuba dive, water case under 100 pounds. If you could pick from the GoPros, which one? If I could pick from the GoPros, 5, 7, 8, or 9. It's funny that you skipped the 6. One of my lights back there went out. It's funny that you skipped the 6. The 6 was kind of like the stepchild of GoPros. The coloring, man, was really weird on that camera. My favorite, the 9 is super expensive. It's got some cool little nifty tricks that you can do with it, with the horizon leveling and the scheduling your video. So you don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. If that's when sunrise is, you can just set it to 5 o'clock. It'll automatically turn on. It's got nifty stuff with it. I would say the Hero 8. From what I've seen, the difference in stabilization between the 9 and the 8 is so negligible. I mean, it is probably a 5% difference, if that. And I noticed that the 9 has got a little bit more of a crop involved. And the more of a crop involved, the better the stabilization can be. So that's probably why the 9 has a little bit better stabilization. But I would say the 8s to answer your question. Let's see. Fusionel, memory max to 16 gig, Toshiba. So it's got to be the graphics card. Yeah, you know, the nice thing is, since we're getting close to the holidays here, these laptops, even if it's an i7 gaming laptop, if it's got a decent graphics card, and I would say decent is 4 gigs as a minimum on a graphics card, 16 gigs of memory is not bad. 32 is much better, but 16 is not bad. But the graphics card is very important, especially with a lot of these editing softwares. They rely on the graphics card now a lot more, like Adobe Premiere Pro will rely on their graphics card to help you render out your video. So you can either use software only, which will take, let's say if it's a 8-minute video, it will take software only. For me, if I did software only, it would take me maybe 25 minutes. I can take an 8-minute video with hardware in CUDA where it's using the GPU to help render, and I can knock that out in 2 minutes or under. So it has a big impact. Although I am not a computer whiz, so I've just kind of learned by trial and error. I've never built my own computer. I've just known what I wanted and had it built. Thanks for your suggestion. I will go for the Osmo Action. Good choice. Good evening from Pakistan. So do you recommend the Insta360 for vlogging twin edition? When Insta360 decides that they're going to pay, because I love the little adapter, very cheap. And I mean cheap as in inexpensive, not cheaply built. But it's very cheap. And this is something that maybe GoPro and Osmo Pocket, when that whole audio adapter debacle. The internal microphone, the latest firmware, is 1.2.17 for the Insta360 The audio in camera sounds much better than it did a couple of firmwares ago. The external audio is still very, very muffled, and I've tried it with a couple of different external microphones. And the Insta360 I don't know if it's just the way that the preamp is set up firmware-wise in the camera, but it's something that they need to address. You can always stick on a separate audio recorder and a little lapel microphone and record your audio separately and just sync it up in post. What in the world happened to my focus there? That went crazy, didn't it? But you can always sync up your audio in post and then go from there. Let's see. Dutch bike blogger. Who got a met jou? Good. Dutch bike bloggers from Holland, the Netherlands. That guy puts up a video every single day of his bike rides. I mean, you want to talk about a dedicated YouTuber. So funny that you should mention that video. That's the reason I bought the Lanzi Sonova audio adapter. Okay, well, good. So you already know about its capability as a vlogging setup. Firefly question stabilization. Post Pro, what software would you use to make it best looking? I use Adobe Premiere Pro. You can use Warp Stabilizer. Don't try to go crazy with the amount of stabilization in Warp Stabilizer, because what it'll do, it'll make the outside edges very wonky and wobbly while it's trying to center this portion. But just add a little bit of stabilization, and that can help out a lot for the Firefly 8SE. Good morning, Andre in Texas, from Tom, AK in Chicago. Hello, Tom in Chicago. I bet the weather is nice and cool there. I would trade you like that, weather-wise. Dan Whitaker. Good morning, Dan. Dan's a paramedic. He's a cool cat. He just finished a 24-hour shift. It lasted 30 hours. That's kind of the way it goes, isn't it? Dan's, I don't know how long Dan's been a paramedic, but he's been doing it obviously for a long time. And cool channel. Hopefully, Dan, you'll start uploading some videos again. I'd like to see some of your stuff. Okay, so let's get back to the GoPro Hero 9. So if you scroll up through the chat, you'll notice that I put a link for Ian's channel. So there's Ian. Good morning, Ian. I was just talking about you earlier. I even put a link up to your channel. That's Ian Craig. That's the gentleman I was talking about in the UK that's this close to 1,000 subscribers. Go subscribe to his channel. Well, him and I have been chatting about the GoPro Hero 9 and some of the issues that we've come across. And his is a lot of coloring because he thinks it's the amount of light outside because it's been very overcast over there in the UK. Here in Texas, it's very sunny and hot, so we got a lot of light. The more light that a GoPro gets, the better that the image quality looks. And he was having problems with it freezing up on him. And he changed the SD card to the GoPro recommended SD cards, and the freezing stopped. For me, I still have... Oh, you hit 1,000? Congratulations. Good job, Ian. Now you can get monetized and make that big YouTube money. All right? 62 degrees in Chicago. Man, I am so jealous. Anyway, I still get freezing issues with my GoPro Hero 9. I'm using a recommended SD card. When I charge this battery in camera via the USB-C port, and it fully charges, and I unplug it, it will not turn back on. It's just frozen. So I have to unplug the battery, plug it back in, then it'll boot up. When I shoot in 5K, if I shoot in rapid succession, what I mean is videotape, let's say 5-6 minutes worth of video, stop, I go, oh, there's something over there. And yes, I let it cycle through to where it does this beep beep to where it's finished the file. Start it up again. It will start recording and then freeze. Image freezes, the file is gone. And I have to unplug the battery. The other big issue that I ran into, and I know that 4K, because I've preached it for years now on this channel, that 4K develops a lot of heat. That is a lot of workload on the processor for an action camera, 4K, for any camera, for the Sony cameras, for the Canon cameras. They all get warm. When you imagine Sony 4K and the ZV-1 in this size body versus going down to this, and you're trying to pump out 4K or 5K. What I've noticed is the GoPro will get boiling hot in 5K, and it gets really hot in 4K much quicker than the Hero 8 or Hero 7. And I saw another video online where somebody had temperature tested the GoPro Hero 9 versus the 8, and they were pretty similar in 4K, pretty similar in 1080p. This, I don't know. I need to do a temperature test because I've got a infrared laser temp gun. This thing gets boiling hot. I've had it shut off on me because it's overheated. So that's a thing. And here's a nitpicky thing, okay? This is 2020. The Sony FDR-X 3000 added a 3.5 millimeter audio jack to the back of the mic, or the back of the camera, so that you could plug in an external microphone. GoPro, you have to deal with their audio adapters. And with the latest firmware that David Harry talked about and Ian were talking about, that once you update the firmware from the initial firmware that comes out of the box, that brick is no longer available to work. It won't work in the camera. So now you're stuck with having to use the media mod. This is 2020. I mean, if you can make a port that opens up, has access to the USB-C, battery, SD card slot, there's got to be some room in here somewhere to put a 3.5 millimeter jack. That would make the world rejoice to have a 3.5 millimeter, not have to buy the media mod or that little audio brick. You just plug your microphone in. Hell, it's your camera. I mean, the Sony ZV-1, it's got a 3.5 millimeter audio input. Stick it in an action camera. And here's another little thing that I'm not very fond of the GoPro Hero 9. Yes, they got these cool little nifty fingers. Could they not have tapped one of those holes right there as a 1/4-20? Or maybe spaced them out a little bit further. So this finger comes out to here, this finger comes out to here, and dead center put a 1/4-20, even if it bulged out a little bit more. Because, like with my GoPro Hero 8, if I stick it in the media mod, and I've got it on a handle, and I'm out vlogging with it, every time I want to change out the battery, anytime I want to do anything with it, I have to take the camera apart. Well, you know how many times that I unscrew the thing, take it off the handle, forget about the fingers, and I'm trying to pull it out of the media mod, and it won't come out of the media mod because the fingers are in the way. So I got to push it back in, fold these fingers down. I just wish that they would add a 1/4-20. I mean, $89 Acaso V50X, 1/4-20 in the bottom. But that's just a little me. I am glad that they did bring back the removable lens so that if you do damage it, you can replace the outside lens. I want to get to comments here. So Ian's hit 1,000. Congratulations, Ian. How's the light performance on the Osmo Action? The low light performance on Osmo Action is going to be just like about any other action camera. If you go to manual and you start adjusting your ISO and your shutter speed, you can get it to perform a little bit better, but you have to be very careful. Those sensors are so small on these action cameras that they just start to introduce a lot of noise if you start messing with it too much. So there's that. Let's see. Reset the Hero 9 to factory after the update. I don't know what you're talking about there, Ian, about resetting the Hero. Yes, I do reset. I learned that lesson with the Insta360 1R when I updated the firmware. I go back and I reset everything to factory specs, and then I customize everything from there after each firmware, because I think that when you update a firmware, you get a little bit of wonky stuff going on sometimes. Let's see. It even gets hot here in the UK. Try it on a bright sunny day. Color way better. It must be the light here that causes all the weird color issues. Yeah, Ian, I was talking about that earlier. The GoPro Hero 9, the more light that it has, the better that it performs. It just, the colors start looking a lot more natural. And Ian's channel, when you go check it out, you'll see what he's talking about. Because the GoPros, if you remember the 6 had that pasty look where it looked like you had tons of makeup just covered and caked all over your face, and it was so unnatural looking. It was like a beauty mode times 100. And I mean, I know I'm not a beauty, I'm an ugly dude, but that's okay. You know, show the world as it is. Don't beauty mode it. Let's see what else we got here. 56 degrees in Metro Detroit. Get out of here. You're from Detroit? That's where I grew up. I grew up on 6 Mile and Van Dyke, right over there by the city airport. I went to elementary school at Lynch Elementary School. My middle school was Burroughs Middle School. Yes, I had to walk to Burroughs. The street that I lived on was called Wisner, Wisner. And I've got fond memories of Detroit. It's a shame because I was trying to show my wife, I was trying to show my wife on Google Maps where it was I grew up. And when I blew it up on Google Maps and I went to my street address, it was gone. I mean, every house for blocks north and south are gone. The streets are still there, but every house is gone. I mean, it's just so sad. It is, you know, I didn't know you're from Detroit. You're a Michigander. I was in Detroit when they were trying to come up with a name for people from Michigan, and the voted name was Michiganders. And I remember my dad at the time saying, Michiganders? Could you not have come up with a better word? Let's see. Sony X3000 is starting to sound like Casey. You know what? It's funny, Dan. You mentioned Casey. He's talking about Casey from Camera Conspiracies. I noticed on mine, and even though I haven't used that Sony FDR X3000 in about, I don't know, 9 months, its focus didn't look like it was on point anymore. So there may be something to the lens being kind of glued in that where when it heats up in 4K, it will loosen up the glue a little bit and go out of focus. It wasn't as bad as his. And no, I'm not going to take mine apart and butcher it up like he did because now he's got a paperweight. 3.5 does require a significant amount of space. Scotty, I agree with you. 3.5 millimeter, considering that a 3.5, I'm looking around here if I got a microphone I can show, and I don't. But yeah, 3.5 millimeter is going to be what, 3/4 of an inch, give or take, in length, maybe half an inch in length. So that has to go into the camera. And I understand that, but I figure if they can add stuff, because the GoPro Hero 9 is bigger. I mean, when you look at, this is the 5. So the 5, 6, and 7 are all the same size. GoPro Hero 8 is a little bit larger. This GoPro Hero 9 is a lot larger. You figure that it's just me nitpicking. Yeah, my camera's going like wonky out of focus again. Come on, catch your face. My camera's probably like, hey, you've been on for too long. There we go. Okay, now I'm back in focus. Update end of October. This, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the update, Ian, to see if they fix the audio issue to where we can go back to using the brick for those of us that have spent money on the brick. Causing problems with the update, so they say, well, apparently they'll reinstate. Hope it's not a GoPro Hero 10. I hope the Hero 9 is not going to be one of these. It's a larger body camera. We're figuring out the problems, and then, oh, here's the 10, which is going to be a refined version. David's World. Hello, David, sir. Hello, Andre. How's the Hero 9 working out? It's working out. I'm spending a lot more time with the GoPro Hero 9 in its review. I've been doing a little testing with it and showing, it's 5K footage and this and that, and doing some comparison videos. But I will say that I've ran into some issues. I have some concerns. Pricing is a big one. I mean, 5K. I will probably say that, and this is just me guesstimating, on the low end. Or, no, even on the high end. On the high end, 50% of YouTubers record in 4K. That's on the high end. There's still the other 50% that don't, because 4K does require a lot more editing power. Now, 5K, because you remember I've always said 4K is the buzzword. Now, 5K seems to be the deal when it comes to action cameras. What's next? 6K, 8K. The amount of people that are going to be able to edit those type of videos are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Like the Sony a7S III. From what I understand, in its certain codec, you better have a massive computer because that thing's going to stutter all over the place. Although I wouldn't mind. Kevin, Basic Filmmaker, if you're watching, send me your a7S III. Just to test for a couple of days. I'll send it back insured. I'd like to test it out. Let's see. Yeah, the city pretty much messed up. It's a shame about Detroit. Jason Sacco grew up in 7 Mile and Grand River. Wow. There's a lot of people from Michigan. That's kind of cool. There's some sunshine coming through. There's a lot of developments happening in the city thanks to the Quicken loans. I should think 6 Mile and Van Dyke is up next in development. It'd be nice. I mean, like I said, I've got fond memories growing up in Michigan. We had family in Windsor, Ontario. So we used to go through the tunnel all the time, and I was always scared as a little kid because, in the wintertime, there was icicles hanging down from the ceiling of the tunnel, and it would always scare me, and I'd always go, oh my gosh, you know, the tunnel, we're underneath the water, and it's going to totally collapse on us. Sony could have hit a home run with the RX0. Just a little wider field of view. Cripple hammer. Dan's talking about camera conspiracies because Casey, he does that little Canon cripple hammer. Yeah, you know, action cameras is a funny world now because just when all these budget cameras were kind of coming up and starting to compete at a budget, you weren't getting GoPro quality, but you were getting pretty close to it. And now with the advent of the Osmo Action, GoPro Hero 9 now, or the GoPro Hero 8, then the Insta360 one, I think you're going to see a lot of these budget action camera companies start to disappear. There's still going to be some out there that are selling the 4K interpolated for $39 on Amazon, but it's going to be those off-name brands that are using old stock and just reprinting their name on it. Let's see what else we got here. Glenn Smith. Hey, Glenn, how are you doing? Hi, Andre. My Acoustic external microphone is a micro USB. Is that for the, it's got to be for the X. Yeah. The Acoustic V50X. I heard that the external microphone makes the camera sound a lot better. I haven't spent the $9 to buy a microphone for the Acoustic V50X because I just worry that I'm going to spend $9, get external microphone, plug it into the camera, and still have the audio video sync issue. So let me know if you have any audio video sync issue using external microphone. I do all my videos in 360. That's the secret to my tens of thoughts. 360 video, huh, Dan? Wow, that's pretty cool resolution. Scotty, recent Acoustic 50 Pro buyer here. All the negatives about switching codec from any negatives about switching codec from H.264 to H.265. I'm thinking about reduced space and writing down the cards. V50 Pro. I have got 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 of the V50 Pros. And there's one right there. Out of the 4 V50 Pros, none of them work with H.265. I don't know. I mean, it's there in the menu system. I've got U3 cards, and every camera that I use are all U3 cards, even if it's the little Yi Light. Good little action camera. Too bad that they don't sell anymore because it was selling for like $50 and decent all the way around. The DB Power, which is a knockoff of the Acoustic V50 Pro, the DB Power, I think it was a D5 for $20. I mean, that was a heck of a buy. I bought a bunch of those and gave those out to family. But anyway, back to answer your question, Scotty, no, H.265 doesn't work for me. There's no negatives about it in any of the other action cameras that I have. When you shoot at H.265, you get the exact same resolution as far as image quality, but a smaller file size. So that's always good, especially when I've got, right off camera here, I've got my Dicon, which is 32 terabytes. I've got another Dicon that is 16 terabytes. Those are all filled up. I want to get a big storage unit, something, 70, 80, 100 terabyte storage unit, and maybe one of these companies that watches this channel will send me one to review because I don't want to spend $2-3 grand on a storage unit because I like to get some SSDs because they're so quick. I use a lot of these when I'm out traveling. These little SanDisk SSD drives, because they're fast as all get out, and they're pretty inexpensive, but I just need a big storage. The Pro SE. Okay, so you got the Pro SE. Trying to think if I remember that it had the ability for external microphone. I guess it does since you have one. Action camera, 6 Tom AK action camera videos and 60 frames per second, 1080p on YouTube. Maybe you're referring to what Dan had said about his 360p. There all the time. Okay, well, I tell you what, it is now 10:21. I've been rambling on for just a little bit over an hour, almost an hour and a half now. For those of you that are thinking about the Insta360 I will be doing a 360 tutorial from a beginner standpoint, how I'm learning how to do it, and some video samples. And the Twin Edition, I think, is really cool. I like the fact that Insta360 they actually sent me the extension pole too, so that you've got the invisible stick when you have it out. But I've got some more videos coming up. I'm going to do a poll in the community tab of some of the stuff that I'd like for you guys to take a look at. I'm finishing up the review of Fingerprint Hell here. Let's see. Let me take this off. Of course, my camera's going to go way out of focus once I do this. Block my face. There we go. The Freewell. That's their anamorphic lens for the Osmo Pocket. I've been shooting a lot with it, and I'm trying to do this review in a cinematic way so that you get a representation of what it looks like, how they use anamorphic lenses in cinema for movies. So I'm going to try to shoot like a little short movie, a little short film with this anamorphic lens, and then I'll talk about the quality of it. So far, it's been really good. Let's say if the R model is the same as the X on the app, it's pretty easy from the app. From what I understand about the Insta360 X, there was a time where on the app, you could use your X footage, put it into the app for the R footage, or the R app. Does that make sense? And you were able to do all those neat little tricks, and then they did an update and they took all that away. It's almost like they told the X users, no, you have to upgrade to the R to have all these cool little features. So, but anyway, I'm going to finish up this live stream today. I want to thank everybody for coming in and joining, and for me using up an hour and a half of your Sunday morning. I'm going to try to do these a little bit more methodically regarding live streams, either Friday night, and I'm going to do another poll on that too. Do you guys prefer Friday night? Now, I'm Central Standard Time here in Texas. So is Friday night better, or Saturday morning better, or Sunday morning better? Anyway, check out Ian's channel. Check out David Harry's channel. Check out Kevin, Basic Filmmaker's channel. Check out the university that he has, because, like I said, the link to the university, he's got a ton of free courses from OBS to lighting to all of this stuff that you can learn for free. And he's got some paid courses too. I mean, the guy's got to pay light bills, but his free courses are great. So I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.